Welcome to You Feel Out Loud. What are we about?
You Feel Out Loud is about acknowledging your own feelings, acknowledging who you are and the relationship that you have with yourself. A lot of people don't have a relationship with themselves. They have a relationship with people. And it's almost like we neglect the most important relationship, which is the relationship we have with ourselves.
But you know, there's so much going on at the moment I was actually going through all the different social feeds and everybody's talking about this word narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
The narcissist, and everybody's suddenly been labeled a narcissist.
Okay.
And don't you think you feeling out loud is not maybe an invitation for that person to say, well, you know, do we really want to know what your feelings are about?
I think we have a lot of narcissists because we have people that don't know how to feel their own feelings, so they project a lot of the stuff that they're actually going through internally on other people, and they get experienced as narcissists. So I feel like maybe that's the greatest contributing factor to narcissism, in the sense of people not actually acknowledging what's happening in their own internal world, and therefore they project it onto others. So maybe what we need to do is actually recognize and acknowledge how important it is to feel the feelings. And I know that some of those feelings are not always comfortable to feel, but if you start feeling them inside, you can tend to them. But if you don't, I feel like you project.
Absolutely. And also in the moment of awareness that you have these feelings, because I think sometimes what happens is especially if you're around someone who's got a very strong personality or a very domineering parent, what happens is you're told that it's not appropriate, or you might even decide that for yourself, that it's learn to hide those feelings and it then manifests in different ways.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's the suppression that becomes the I almost want to say the root of the evil that we then experience. But I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think that people actually even know how to identify their own feelings?
No, I think that's probably the biggest gap we have in society at the moment is creating spaces for feelings to be aired in a non-judgmental, loving space.
And that's very
because
important.
It's about the judgment. Because you know, a situation where a girl meets a guy and they start dating and things develop into an intimacy.
Yes.
Where will she tell the guy that maybe I was sexually abused?
I get you.
And where would that be safe for him to go through his feelings about what happened?
Yeah.
And who will he talk to?
Absolutely.
Because if he talks to his friends, that will be judgment. If he talks to his family will have opinions. So how does he work through his trauma about her trauma? Because often we just fixate on the person that it happened.
Isn't it?
We forget everybody around them are also
impacted.
Absolutely.
You know. Yes.
I read a story about a girl who was cornered by her uncle at a Christmas party, and he grabbed something inappropriate, and she called him out on it. And
Wonderful.
When she called him out, she went to her mom and told her mom, and her mom, of course, threw a fit and said, "How dare you do this?" And it broke the family apart.
But
And years later, she sat with the shame and the guilt of being the one that ended the family being at a Christmas party.
now I want to take exactly that, and I want to ask you, but what if she didn't stand in that truth in that moment? They would have been living maybe this happy family dynamic, but with a truth that is actually being masked, or that no one is talking about. It's like there's an elephant in the room and no one is talking about the elephant in the room. And that's why it's so important that you actually are able to address the feelings, because I feel like we have this expectation that we're managing about humanity, in the sense of we always have to be the happy-go-lucky family or the happy-go-lucky friendships and relationships. And when there's trouble, it's almost like everyone ignores it because we're supposed to be happy. But how are you happy when it's a false sense of happiness? That's not happiness.
And then what happens is the very person who actually called out the behavior is the one that gets labeled the black sheep.
Absolutely. And not just labeled the black sheep, but the outcast. The one that's got the...
It's your fault.
Yes, you're the one that created this mess. Exactly.
And all our shame. Because there is a degree of shame for every person who was in that space not standing up for her.
Yes.
And her simply saying, your behavior, dude, inappropriate. This is my personal space.
Absolutely.
So this is not a simple subject.
No, not at all. But I almost feel like it's an invitation, an opportunity for truth the value of realizing what truth is, and starting to celebrate that when someone has the confidence to actually own their truth, stand in that truth, to not just, I want to say, label them as, oh, you're the black sheep. But what if we actually start realizing, you know what, that's the most amazing part of you actually coming forward saying, because in essence, your truth, just hear what I just said, your truth, that is your truth. If that truth that I'm voicing in no way is triggering you, then why do I need to be a black sheep for my truth? Then what if we can turn this thing around and we can say, if you speak your truth, we acknowledge it as your truth. If you get onto that bandwagon of you starting judging me for it, then you're actually judging something that is a truth inside yourself that you're not willing to see. See, and that's very valuable. And I feel like if we can make that change, then maybe we can have a different experience about truth. And having a relationship with yourself, then having a relationship with yourself can actually become something we celebrate.
Valuable.
Yes, and we see the value of, instead of actually always focusing on everyone and everything outside of ourselves instead of inside.
I agree. So thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in our next reel.
Absolutely. See you again. Bye.
Bye.